All right, Alex, shut the fuck up. All right, boys and germs, welcome to the Crack Pit number 6. And that's again, it's myself, Damien Hennigan, and I'm joined today again with Alex Cheongy. And we're going to shy talk again about some things that we've learned. But today is Alex's turn to tell us what he has learned over the couple of years, I suppose, in the fitness industry. And I'm going to do my best to derail him as much as possible. And we had a very interesting conversation before we started with all about relationships. And I think Alex has some fucking very interesting insights into relationship stuff. And maybe we'll diverge into that a little bit again, because I think you have very interesting and insights. And you have knowledge that you've settled me down today. I was about to go smash, but you've settled me down.
Hulk mode.
Yeah, pretty much. But you've settled me down on a couple of things. But it's good. Anyway, Alex. So it's the 7 wonders of 7 years, or the 7 wonders of the world. Is it? We're going to talk about today.
7 lessons, 7 years.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
7 lessons.
Right.
Hey, Loz told me the other day. She was like, "Oh, we paused."
What?
Loz was like, "Does Damo know your surname's not Cheongy?"
No.
It's Cheong. I was like, "Does Damo know I'm not, like, my surname's not Cheongy?" I was just checking. It's okay. You can call me Cheongy. You can call me whatever you want.
Man, that's what I've called you for years. I know it's Chong, but like I have fucking names for everyone. Like I call like Lee that does the podcast. He's Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee. Okay, good.
Mr. Lee. Yeah. And like if you were living in Ireland, like if you were in Ireland with me and you were Irish, you'd be calling me Hennigan the whole time.
Okay.
And I'd be calling you Chongy.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's Chong. But that because in Ireland you more or less refer to people by their second name. Like, Bannon, what's the crack? Fucking Hegarty, how the hell are you? You know, it's just Hegarty, yeah. It's just second names are the ones that are used more so than even your first name.
Everyone calls me Chong anyway. Yeah.
That's it. That's how I know it as well. Or else there's a swear word used there. I fucking you cunt you, how are things?
Just calling people cunts. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Hey,
how epic has Jacked and Juicy been lately, by the way?
Unbelievable. It's been fucking how many did we have on Thursday?
We only had like 10, but it's been like the highlights of my week. Like it's like someone messaged me going, "You should make money from this." And I was like, how?
We sell a subscription, sell a gym membership, like a monthly membership. So just to fill people in on what we're talking about, in case you don't know what we're talking about, every Tuesday and Thursday, myself and Alex run this half an hour workout. It's called the Virtual Jacked and Juicy. And basically what it is me with one dumbbell doing some exercises, but Alex, being the biggest tech nerd I know in CrossFit, sets up a green screen behind me and puts all graphics in it. He plays obnoxiously loud music, normally Russian hard bass, and I think that was a little bit of my influence. But then he puts all these graphics in where there's like, when you finish rounds and stuff, there's explosions and there's all sorts. And people that are on this, and we do this via Zoom, like live on Zoom, so you can join in. So if you get the Zoom link, you can be part of it. And while we're going around the workout, you highlight people and they do flex cam and fucking everything. It's sick. Love doing it. Go on.
Yeah, I think I've just gone live on Australian CrossFitters again because I didn't tweak the settings.
That's
so we're live on there as well. Hey, Australian CrossFit.
Giddy up.
I will disable that next time because I feel like I don't want to like spam that channel too much.
Yeah. But it's a fucking awesome thing, and it was your idea. I just created a Jacked and Juicy at home program, like it was a bodybuilding program at the start of lockdown, just to try and figure out how to go online. But you were the guy that can, put this in a fancy package as a streaming service. And there's a lot of dickheads out there putting up fitness shit that's boring as fuck. And I feel our stuff, you could put it on the telly and just dance around the living room and have the crack. Like,
yeah. I actually, when I'm doing it, I'm like, this is a sick track. And I'm like just bopping in the back. It's, yeah. I just figured I just don't know how we can make money from it yet, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, listen. How do you sell a gym membership?
I don't know. Fuck knows. I've forgotten. I've actually forgotten.
This is true. Well, listen, I think this is what we could do, because God knows, who knows what's going to happen on Sunday with what they say about restrictions. I don't think there's going to be much that we will be able to do. Maybe the bubble of 5 kilometers might go to 10 kilometers, but other than that, I really can't see. Like, people are talking about the gyms opening up. That's not happening. That's definitely not fucking happening. So, like, you know, what is the future of people doing fitness? Because I know when my gym opens back up, there will be, when we are allowed to do that, we're going to be so limited in the amount of people that I'll be charging a lot more, because the cost of running a fucking facility is expensive. So maybe the online space and being able to offer like virtual classes so people can do it in the comfort of their own home, and then they pay a subscription. So we promote it like you'd promote your regular gym on our social media, but you do this from the comfort of your own home with minimal equipment. And if you buy the subscription, then you have access to all the replays.
Well, I always envisioned the Jacked and Juicy being more of a show. And I think we talked about it. Like, you know, like we're doing like the Crack Pit thing separately, but it's almost like I wanted the Jacked and Juicy thing to be, when we came back, to have like this bigger kind of show around it. Like, you know, you get to Jacked and Juicy at the end, but before it, we've created this whole like world. Like, I don't know if you've seen this guy called Dr. Disrespect, but he's in some studio in like America, and he's created like this whole world where he's like the best dude in the world, and he just plays games. But instead of playing games, we'll get everyone jacked. But before it, you know, we talk about stuff, because I think if there's one thing we've learned from coaching is that it doesn't matter how good your programming is, if people, you know, all the other shit, if people don't have that locked in, then it's a piece of shit anyway. So I was almost wondering if, like the Jacked and Juicy show, if we create like a content list of things we wanted to talk about that would eventually get to, you know, so people came and they watched. But obviously we got fucked over by stage 4. But stage 4 did teach us about how we could do this from Bali, which is amazing.
Yes, that's fucking what I fucking learned. I'm getting on a call with you don't remember Maka? You remember Maka?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's over there. So I'm on a call later on with him. Just want to chat to him about being over there and what's it like, and just get an idea of cost of living over there.
Are you doing it on here? Are you doing it on
Zoom?
Yeah, are you going to make a podcast of it?
Maybe that's a good idea. But I'm just kind of, maybe I will. I'll record it anyway. Yeah. Fucking, I'll record it to see what the crack is. Because I figured out a way of making money without needing a gym. And I'm actually finding that I'm getting better results with people, because I think a lot of the people I'm working with are people that actually don't really want to go to a gym. Maybe they're, you know, slightly embarrassed because they are a little bit more overweight, but I'm getting results just by keeping them accountable online, and it's going really well. And yeah, all I need is a fucking laptop, a good Wi-Fi connection, and a microphone. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a little gift.
Yeah. So yeah, fucking Bali could be on the cards. Who knows?
I think so, man.
Oh. But anyway, just before we get into your 7 wonders of 7 years, and I'll put it in the text bar, the description of this podcast. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m., we're doing virtual Jacked and Juicy via Zoom. So just click on that link or use that link. And sometimes, most of the time, we go live on Functional You Facebook page. So you can follow along there and see the replays. And I think you've put the replays also on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's called the Functional You channel, is it?
Yeah. I think most of the replays are there. I've got to go back and check.
Yeah, and we'll start putting stuff up on maybe more on our own social media, little snippets, because we had a few snippets from the very first couple of episodes, and they were fucking sick.
and then just like lockdown just dragged on a whole lot more months than we thought it would.
Absolutely.
It kind of dipped for a bit, and then we started doing some intros, and then it dipped, and then now it's peaked again, because we've just been like, fuck Facebook and your ridiculous like music rights. and we're just, so you've really got to catch the live show, because if you don't catch the live show, Facebook mutes the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's fucking man. I get into it as well. Like after yesterday's session, I was fucked. I was like, I was sweating. Well, I know it was hot, but I was sweating. I fucking got the pump on. So like this stuff works. It's like my second workout for the day. So I train twice a day on a Tuesday and a Thursday now, and that's my first workout. And like I feel good from it. I feel fucking good.
It actually feels like back in my day when I used to partake in some substances. It actually feels when like the bass cranks up and you like turn it loud enough and you've got, you know, everyone talks about the runner's high, mate. There's like the pump high, the juicy high. It's good.
Okay, it is literally a fucking rave in your living room.
It is. You got to turn down the lights and just be like,
reach for the lasers, popping pingers. All right, Mr. Alex. Let's go with your
7 lessons.
7 lessons. What's lesson number one?
Lesson number 1 would be start with why. Start with why. Like you got to get your brain sorted. You got to figure out your reasons for training. And if your reasons for training is just, I want to get better at life, that's great. But if is that gonna get you out of bed in the morning? And like I think that's one thing that I spent a lot of time on is, well, I never started with why. I just wanted to like get really, heavy 1RMs, all that kind of stuff in CrossFit. But if you don't know why you're doing anything, then at some point during your training, you're going to be like, fuck it. And then if you know why, if you're like, oh, I'm going to get $1 million, you'll be like, fuck it, And I think that's a big reason I've been training for the last, 10 years is because I'm a gym owner. That's my why. I can't look like a fat turd as a gym owner.
That's so good. You got to be your own. You got to be your own business card.
And like, I feel like if I was thinking about this on my run today as a little analogy, like you could have, all the. I'm gonna use the party analogy because but you could have all the drugs in the world, and if you don't want to be at the party, they're not gonna help shit. And I'm talking like you could have all your ducks in a row, and if you don't know why you're training, then you're still not gonna get yourself to the gym and do the things that need to be done. Yeah.
So can I ask you a question on that?
My partying lifestyle or the why? Because you're allowed to ask. You're allowed to ask about the why. You aren't allowed to talk about my sordid UK past.
Yeah. We'll get. That's a whole other podcast. Myself and Lee were talking about. We're going to take a particular drug and then do a podcast while we're on the drug.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So we're open to suggestions. You guys, I've pretty much taken everything, and I'm sure Alex has pretty much taken his fair share as well. So you guys out there are listening.
Life. This was a past life, not my current life. When I was young and stupid.
Sort of past for me, still present. But
I was dabbled. I dabbled.
So if there's any suggestions of drugs you'd like us to take, and then talk about it while we're on it, while doing a podcast, we're open to suggestions.
I'm not part of this podcast, by the way. Just let you know. I live a very pure life now.
No, I'll get when the fucking bubble fucks off, I'll corrupt you again. Alex, so my question: how do you, as a like gym owner and a coach, how do you get to the person's real why?
I think you've just got to find, like, no one likes discomfort. And I think you got to look towards what makes you uncomfortable. What are your uncomfortable, what are the situations throughout your day that makes you uncomfortable, and then find out why those things make you uncomfortable. Whether it's social situations, or there's an exercise where you go, it's called the 5 whys, and you ask the question why. I want to lose weight, and you're like, why? Because my clothes don't fit. Well, why is that important? Well, my clothes don't fit. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm not confident. Well, why is that important? Because I care about what people think about me. Why is that important? You keep drilling down into the whys. But it's got to be something that's that's very real and authentic to you. Because if you're like, I just want to lose weight because I want abs, it's like, well, that's not gonna fucking make you go out and do go for a run in the middle of the the winter.
That's only the superficial reason of why someone starts something. But that's what I found as well. You gotta dig below the surface, because there's some trauma that's happened there somewhere, and there's a reason why. For example, if weight gain for people, it's a shield. Eating food and putting on that weight is almost like a shield to what's happening. And a friend of mine has said it this way: is when people use negative words towards themselves, like, oh, I'm a fat lump, or I'm a slob, and this, that, it's like they're calling themselves that. So if someone else says it to them, they've already like absorbed some of the pressure. They've absorbed some of it, because, oh, well, I call myself that anyway, so that's okay if they call it to me, like, so it's kind of this endless cycle of putting themselves down. And also, I had another client that used to like go on dates, and before she'd go on the date, she'd tell the person, like meeting them on Tinder or whatever, they hadn't even seen each other in real life yet, that, or just so you know, I'm chubby. Like that sort of stuff, that's sort of a mindset. I know it's kind of a self-protection thing, but that's the wrong mindset to be in if you want to make a change in your life, because you've already given up. You've already shot yourself in the foot, and you've kind of reconfirmed to yourself that, oh, well, this is the way I am. So we got to dig, as us coaches, we've got to dig to the reason why you think that way, and then get to the real reason why you want to change.
A really good book to read, and it's one of those books you read and you're just like, is this book about me? Am I in like the Truman Show, and is this person writing about me? Is a book called Mel Robbins. Hold on, it's by Mel Robbins, and it's called Take Control of Your Life. And so all the things that we talked about before this, so like attachment theory, it's all behavioral child psychology stuff. Think about like when you're young, if you think about your life as like a big pond, and like a drop, drops in the pond, and like there's ripples. Like these ripples, generally for most of us, are very similar. So if you had like a bit of trauma when you were younger, where you were the outsider, and part of being an outsider is that, social inclusion is really important, because genetically or like historically, if you're an outsider, you're probably going to die. Then you end up exhibiting behaviors of being a bit of a larrikin, because you want to be a larrikin first, so that you have put yourself in control to push you to be an outsider. But this book, like what she does is going off topic, but what she does is she identifies different kind of personas and just puts names to them. And then what happens is, she's interviewing them. That's the style of the book. And the person's like, oh, well, this happened. And then she starts just breaking down all the shit that probably would have happened in the way that person would be at work, how their personality is, why they're a perfectionist. And you're just sitting there just reading this book, just going, I know someone like that. Yeah. And then when you get to the chapter that's about you, you're like, is there a camera following me? Yeah. It's crazy. It's the craziest book. You should totally read it. Like Mel Robbins, Take Control of Your Life.
Take control. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get that one.
You'll message me and you'll be like, I am totally Abby.
So she characterizes the personality types.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
Mel Robbins?
Mel Robbins. Yep.
Okay,
Mel Robbins.
Giddy up.
She's got a book called The 5-Second Rule as well, which is pretty good. But I find all you need is like the general concept of the 5-second rule is you have 5 seconds to do the things that you don't feel like doing, but that are going to progress you. Anyway, but you can read that later. But yeah,
sick.
It's crazy.
Good. Okay, number 1 was find your real why.
Find your real why. Find your real why.
Like that.
Yeah.
Giddy up. Okay. Giddy up. All right, Mr. Alex. Number 2.
Sort out your stress and recovery.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Well, this was pretty much the sleep one, because I'm like, I feel like I was trying to look at like all the things that would make the biggest difference. Like I always looked at health like a bit of a pyramid, like you got sleep at the bottom, or stress, then you got nutrition, then you got movement, then you got exercise, then you got purpose at the top. But then the more I think of it, the more I don't really think it's a pyramid. I think it's more like fucking dials. But for most people, if you sort out your stress and you sort out your recovery, which is encapsulated through sleep, is the biggest one. If you sort that shit out, then you've probably got more time or more shit in your bucket to do stuff with, you know, like the more, like sleep's the fuel, you know. You know.
Yeah, good way of putting that. Sleep is the fuel.
Yeah, like you could have your diet all sorted, but you're less likely to have your diet sorted if you don't have your stress sorted. You know, like when you're super stressed. But yeah, that would be like I thought it was like sleep more, but I think sleeping more isn't always the case. Like there's certain things that you can deal with sleep. Like sleep is different for everyone. Most people need 7.5 hours sleep, but maybe you don't. I don't know. I think everyone's different. But if you can sort out your stress and your recovery and you feel good, you wake up the next day ready to like crush life, amazing. If you're not waking up the next day ready to crush life, then you're probably, you know, something's fucked and you've got to sort it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, like it's, you know yourself when you've had a good night's sleep. And I think everyone that's listened to this, like everyone has suffered with bad sleep at some stage in some way. But when you get that good night's fucking sleep, man, your whole world is so different the next day. It's so different. It is like you are on top of things. Your mind is clear. You're productive. Nothing gets in your way. So if I like that. That.
I've kind of sorted out my sleep. I think not really. Like the best sleep I ever get, hands down, is in my family house in this one room. There's no fucking light. And it's something about being in my family house. It's just so comforting. I don't have to worry about work. I don't have to worry about the fucking coaches opening up the door the next day. It's just, I wake up the next day, I'm just like, ugh, Mum, give me some food. And
Absolutely.
And it's like, and then the fucking, you know, my rice is there, my rice and chicken. And like, if I slept in my family house, man, I'd be a weapon, like a weapon of mass. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
online streaming, man, move back to New Zealand.
Dude, tempting.
Yeah.
Very, very tempting. Yeah. It has crossed my mind. It has crossed my mind with all the shit that's happening.
Yeah. Or else, fuck it, man. The two of us get a villa in Bali to fuck. We'll just stream from over there. Train, eat, and fucking and stream. Rinse and repeat.
This is the thing, though. Like, there's no overheads. You just need like the product's good and the limit that's limitless. You know, I'm like, maybe. But okay, to be fair, we haven't made jack shit money from it yet. So, but it's cool.
Yeah, we haven't marketed it that way. Like, you know, at that moment, what we're doing it because people have no other option to do stuff. We're a charity gym at the moment. That's what we are.
Guys, I'm actually selling Damo's ripped singlets for money. Will I say sell his undies as well if that's what people want? We're selling
whatever. I can autograph them as well if you need.
Mate, someone will buy it. Someone will buy it.
Yeah, someone somewhere.
Used undies.
Anyway, good stuff. So prioritizing, sorting your shit out basically, and sleeping better.
Yeah, I think it's whether like sleep is involved in that, stress is involved in that. Like if you're taking work home with you, which I don't think you should, and we all do it. You know, do you have a good deloading structure? Like, you know, do you practice gratitude? Are you able to disconnect from your work life? Like, there's lots of things around that stress thing, which is the next thing that we talk about in my third lesson. But I think sorting out your stress so that you have that mental space, because I think stress I'll associate with the brain. Like the brain, if your brain's full of shit, you can't deal with problems and you can't deal with hardship. You know, and sleep is a really good way of emptying that. But then you've got more active practices like meditation, like journaling, and the shit's like it's pretty simple stuff. You know, like if you think that your brain's used for creative thinking, this was a concept that I read as a productivity book that I read ages ago. But you think of your brain as having mental space, and if your brain's only good at one thing, which is being creative and solving problems, it's not good for solving shit. Like, it's not good for collecting and itemizing stuff. You know, you can learn how to be a memory wizard, but really your brain's used for collecting and creativity. Now, if you fill that up with, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do like, and you've got a bazillion things that are happening in there, then you don't have any mental space. Now, further to that, you don't have any mental space if you don't sleep, because that mental space gets smaller and smaller. So there's lots of practices like that are about freeing up that mental space. Spearfishing is one of those, the best.
Yeah. Yeah. So doing something to just defrag the computer.
Even like just like low level, being on social media, having your alerts on, knowing that at any given point someone can get in touch with you. Just that when that alert goes on, that shit is like, that clogs you up. Like your brain's kind of like, you don't think so, but your brain's waiting for that alert to happen, because when that alert happens, someone's thinking about you. Someone's, like, that's fucking weird, man. Like that's like, I've got this app called Freedom. Please click on my affiliate link. I'll leave it below in the notes. But you just click this thing and you go, I want freedom for like 2 hours, and it bans you from all social media, and bans you from all shitty apps on your mobile phone and your desktop. And you kind of sit there and you're like, at first you're like, fuck, I want to watch this YouTube video. But then after you get over that, you're like, actually, I've got 2 hours where I just have to focus on the shit I need to do.
Nice.
Very good.
Well, like have you watched that documentary on Netflix, The Social Dilemma? Yeah, that's what you're talking about there. Like, if people haven't seen that doco, I think they should watch it, because for a lot of people, they know that these apps are designed to like attract us in and keep us on our phones. But I think some people are unaware of this, and like you've just described it so well there, that it's that bing that goes off on your phone. You're like, oh, who's that? Who's contacting me? And you got to look at it. You got to see who it is. And we are tied to these devices that are the main cause of stress in our lives.
It's that it takes up mental space just a little bit, a little bit.
And listen, even though you get a notification from someone, if you leave your phone down and don't look at it for 10 minutes, that message is still going to be there in 10 minutes time. And I just done a daily crack on this this morning. It's telling people that asking people what are they actually doing for themselves today, that is for them. And sometimes I feel that people need to, if you say you got to do something for yourself, they need to do something for hours, or they need to book a holiday somewhere. It starts off by just a couple of minutes of doing nothing. And that couple of minutes for me means putting the phone away and leave it, maybe going for a walk around the block, but without your phone. But for a lot of people, that's actually a stressful experience, because they're thinking, oh, what about that email? If that email comes through and I'm not sitting at my desk and I can't respond to it, or if Sally messages me back, I need to be able to message her. The emails will get responded to. The messages will get sent. But taking that little bit of time just for fucking you and remembering that you're there and take a fucking breath is important, because I think a lot of people have forgotten even the last time they've taken a breath.
Yeah, dude.
So do it for yourself, guys. Okay.
I mean, like, I didn't have that until I found spearfishing, Like, I didn't, like, one of the things I thought was on here, but I've changed it anyway, was find a hobby. But the reason I started spearfishing was because it made me realize that time was, like, I lost sense of time. And I don't think a lot of people have that timeless practice,
Yeah.
We do, but playing games, that was also another timeless exercise.
Yeah. And I like, you've been talking about spearfishing. I'm going to go spearfishing with you one of the days for the laugh. But I'm so keen on getting a kayak, because I think that I've thought about that for so long. It's been in my mind. It keeps jumping in and out of my mind loads. And every time I've been on holidays somewhere, I've always gone on a kayaking tour, and it's been fucking awesome. And I've seen, like, when I go down doing my daily crack videos down here by the Yarra, I see kayaks in the shipping lane with all those big fucking ships, so I can take my ship spotting new fetish to a whole new level.
Well, I want to get a jet ski. That's my jam.
Oh, hey mate, listen. When we make shitloads of money from our virtual Jack and Juicy, we're going jet skis and hookers and the whole 9 yards over in Bali. And over in Bali, it's way cheaper than us in Australia. We can get a route for fucking only a couple of dollars.
Every time Damo starts talking about this stuff, I'm like,
Oh, cringe.
talking about hookers and drugs again. Shit.
That's on my affirmation list. It's like, my gratification, the things I'm grateful for, but then the shit I want. I'm fucking like, I have wrote down the stupid money. And what I mean by that is I don't want money to be an obstacle. And another way of me saying like stupid money is like jet skis and hookers, baby. So like just the Dan Brazaria lifestyle, just fucking live it up. Money can wipe your ass with, but I'm not going to wipe my ass with the money. But I don't want it to be an object or an obstacle in my life. If I want to fucking do something, I want to be able to do it, because I've lived a life like that for so fucking long, where everything, before you decide, you have to look at your fucking bank account, and oh no, there isn't enough there, and living the life where you're just working to pay bills. Fuck that shit. I'm working for me now. I'm working for the lifestyle I want, and bills, they'll get looked after. That's all factored in. But now, jet skis and hookers, baby. Fucking giddy up.
I'm really simple. I just want to go spearfishing. But, and a jet ski will allow me to like zoom off into like when I can't see land anymore and catch some big ass fish. That's it. Simple pleasures.
No, well, I'll keep the jet skis warm with the hookers.
Thanks.
No worries.
All right. On to the next one.
No worries.
Surround yourself with people, not hookers, who support your goals.
Listen, they'll support your goals as well. You just got to let them know what they are and just pay the top dollar price.
Wow. So this was on the back of your one, which was your last one, which was get a coach. I think coaches are good and they'll help you. They're one of the people that will sort your shit out. But I think having people in your life that, that will push you to do stuff. Like Loz will push me to like when it's Sunday and I'm like, I don't want to train. And she's like, I want to train. I'm like, I don't want to train. And then we'll end up training and I'll feel better for it. But if you got people in your life that are like, I don't know, like, the whole, like, you're the average of the 5 most people that hang out with you. It's like, yeah, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the fucking most enjoyable 5 people, but they're the ones that are going to, when you're feeling rubbish, you can like, I'd be like, man, I can't be asked training on Wednesday, but I can call you up and be like, what are you doing? I'm going to zoom in and do the same workout that you are. And then you'll blow me off because you're 15 minutes late and creating some stupid workout. And I'll be like, fuck, I'll just do my own workout.
That's right.
But if you have those people that are all kind of like, you're in the same path and you can put each other's shit, then someone just said jet skis and hookers. Yeah, we talk about everything, Helen.
Yeah, giddy up. But yeah, that's so true. It is like, if you're surrounded with, and I think at the time, like if you're surrounded with you're surrounding yourself with non-productive people, you don't realize it. It takes some sort of a gravity shift or a paradigm shift in yourself to be like, okay, well, I want to pursue something else. And then all of a sudden the lifestyle that you're living with these other people is conflicting. So it's not always obvious, I don't think. But as you get older, you realize this way more. Like your circle of friends when you're younger can seem quite big, but my circle of close friends now is quite small, and I like that. I don't know if I could handle a lot of friends,
like you want to bring me to the dark side, but I'm your what's it called? I was watching The Boys, and it's called in The Boys it talks about some kind of canary. So when you go into the mines, apparently every miner has a canary, because if the canary dies,
the gases.
From the gases. So like everyone needs their canary. So every time you trying to get it to the dark side, I'm like, no, bro, I form a certain part of your life, the good part, the blessed part.
Alex, can you explain to me in your vision or in your own opinion what my dark side is?
I don't know if it's completely dark, but there's a darkness. There's an experimental side. There's an experiment.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's say this your side of the Zoom is the law. Oh no, I'm the law. and you're on the other side that's a little bit more experimental.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Experimental, but experimental.
But
But
no,
what?
but that isn't bad. That isn't bad. Like there's a whole
Yeah.
like. So I was having this discussion with my mum at the moment because there's this big cannabis. There's a big cannabis vote going on in New Zealand, and there's probably a whole bigger topic around it that people are voting no for. But like back in the day, I used to be like, cannabis is bad, rah rah. All the media of it, and then now I'm kind of like, well, it's just a plant. Like we've kind of fucked up the plant, and but we're trying to ban a plant, or a plant's been called illegal,
Yeah.
and that to me is just a bit weird. Like so I don't think completely everything in the law is correct, but it is what it is. Like you've got to. I will walk the good line.
Good line, yeah. It's fun to dibble dabble. It's definitely I've had quite a bit of experience with all sorts of substances along the way, and some bad, and some I'll be like, I don't like how that made me feel or where it took me to, and some fantastic. Some have changed my life for the better, and probably the substances that have done that for me the most have been psychedelics. Really and truly, and even on psychedelics, I've had bad and scary experiences, but I feel it shows you something about yourself. It's like your own little therapy session. And sometimes, like when I talk to you, when we're like straight and normal, you can talk to me in a way that kind of gives me a perspective on things. But I feel when I've taken psychedelics, you've learned to figure out these perspectives for yourself, and sometimes that experience can be fun and fantastic. You're laughing the whole time, and for a lot of people that's the way the experience is. But sometimes it's a rough, uncomfortable, scary experience, but there's a reason it was that way, and it's because it has basically, we got to find that why. We got to dig below the layers, because we can put this superficial barrier up, and what the psychedelics will do is a hammer and fucking chisel to break down that barrier down, to find out what's really going on. But you're hammering away at yourself with this metaphorical hammer and chisel to dig at yourself, and that's an uncomfortable experience. When people have a certain way of behaving or acting, or their ego, you gotta fucking expose that ego. You gotta break it open and find out who the fucking real Alex is and who the real Damo is.
Well, I think that's the in the Tribe of Mentors. There's a I don't know, like the Tribe of Mentors, Tim Ferriss book. He does an interview with someone, and one of the things that person says is, the thing I'd be most disappointed is if my daughter never experimented with psychedelics or something like that. And I think the reason was because we're all going for, like, when we go for mindfulness, when we go for all these meditative practices, it's to give ourselves a different perspective. But drugs, psilocybin, mushrooms, they give you another perspective that might take hours of meditation to achieve, to pull yourself out of your body, to separate yourself. But I think it's a little bit, I think there's definitely a little bit of hypocrisy in the world, in that we're at one, we're very open for the whole medical area to be about drugs, but then as soon as someone wants human optimization, performance, it's like, no, that bad.
Yeah,
but I still behave. I'm still a good Chinese boy that behaves himself. So
yeah, we'll corrupt you eventually. Giddy up.
I'm your canary, bro.
Yeah. All right, that was number 3.
Wow. Okay. Consistency trumps intensity, which means I think you have to do something but you got to do something every day. And this is where you got to have a distribution of activities. It can't always be the hard shit. It can't always be the easy shit. And yeah, it's got to be like the more varied you are. And this is the thing, like when we all started CrossFit, we were like constantly varied. And it was like constantly varied it's fucking different every day, but it was just bleeding through the fucking eyeballs every day, you know? Yeah. Like by the end of the week, you're just like, oh, I'm so fucked up. But you got good results, but it wasn't something you could deal with, you know? And I think that's something we're all learning, you know? Like, so my thing is always like, you got to do something that makes you better. So that's like the hard shit. You got to do something that's not hard, but keeps you moving, you know, just the moderate stuff. And then you got to do something you love, you know, but it's got to be movement based. If you want to have like a healthy life, it's got to be, you know, do something makes you better, do the shit that you have to do, you know, and then do something that you love. That's my, you know, if you do that in a week, you're probably going to be a pretty healthy person, you know, where that's like 3 hard sessions, 2 moderate sessions, and then that easy sessions, the shit that you love.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's good. That's simple. It's so simple. It's a simple model, but I think people forget it so easily. They a lot of people that we will have come to our gyms associated with doing hard, heavy sessions as the best way to get results. But I think what you're saying there, and me and you will definitely agree with, like, that's not the key to it.
Yeah, but I think you got to do, but look, I went down the path of like, I did the CrossFit stuff and then I went keto and I learned about, you know, sub-maximal aerobic training. And then, so I just did easy stuff. And then now you kind of you go full circle and you're like, oh, actually it's kind of a balance and you kind of got to listen to your body. And, you know, and then like sub-maximal aerobic training is one thing, but you know, in the stuff that you have to do is the 10,000 steps, or like, and that's not even like, that's like, oh, is that like 4 or 5K? Oh, no, that's like 10Ks of walking a day. You know, like we were made to walk, like walking is our default movement. You know, we were made to walk long distances, and now we're in this kind of like culture where we have to educate people on giving them purpose to basic movement, which is odd. But that's the way that our society is going. You know, like the only thing that's going to save us from the complete meltdown of the world is if we all got shot into the matrix and become batteries. You know, because we're just getting less and less physical. You know.
Yeah.
So you've got to give these weird arbitrary rules like walk 10,000K, you know, 10,000 steps. But if you find something that you love that is purposeful, then you don't have to worry about this. You know, like I think, you know, like people who are in construction, you don't have to be like, hey, bro, walk 10,000 steps.
No, they're doing it. Manual labor, they're doing it. Yeah.
But will they get, the other thing is, will they get to, you know, theoretically, like we're all trying to work towards that culturally accepted definition of health, which is, you know, muscle definition, blah, blah, blah. Like they're not going to get there because they're not doing, you know, the hard stuff that's getting the body that they want or whatever. So it just depends who you are, but you can, I think if you break it to those 3 things, you can then get a coach. They can tell you what the hard stuff is, but you can't forget all the easy stuff either.
That's right. Yeah. That's fucking, you're on the ball, Mr. Alex. I'm liking these 7 wonders of the world. Giddy up.
Got to move it on, bro. All right. Next one is invest in the work.
Invest. What do you mean about investing?
Well, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to trust the work. Like sometimes, I think the work teaches you stuff as well. You know, like, I think the brackets I have to this is silver bullets silver bullets exist. They definitely do exist, but they are very expensive. More so than not. You know, you can go to a fucking person that sucks the fat out of your ass. You know, we can transplant faces right now. You know, that's right. Within the realms of possibility. But if you don't have money, then you got to invest in the work. And usually there's lots of truth that's to be found in the work. You know, like all the coaching in the world won't help you dick if you're not going to put time into doing the work. You know, because they'll tell you what to do, but you got to do it. You know.
Yeah. So you got to trust the process, basically.
That is the one. That's the one, man. That's the trust the process.
Yeah, fucking get the work done. Yeah, man. What was the quote I used before? It was Mike. I was listening to the Mike Tyson podcast with Joe Rogan, and he was talking when he was training with Customado, that you don't love the work, but you gotta do it like you do. You got to do the work like you love it. And you eventually will, because it is fucking hard, and it is uncomfortable, and we've all been through it. Not even in fitness, but you think about, like, you know, going through college, or, you know, studying for something. Like, fuck, it's hard bloody work, but you sit down, you fucking get it done, and then you reap the rewards after, because it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies the whole way along the journey, but they'll happen. They will happen. If you
and you got to trust. You got to trust in it. Like, you know, like, I think we look for, you know, like when you start studying something, you just like, none of this shit is sticking. And then, but you just keep doing the reps, you just keep going over and over it again. And then eventually it sticks. And you're like, oh, you got to trust the work. Like, that's the same with training, man. Like, you're going to be training fucking, you know, I think you'll start training. You probably get really good results at the start, but eventually you won't. And then you just got to keep doing the reps, and you'll get there, but you got to trust it. You got to trust the work.
Yeah. How long will it take? As long as it takes. Sick. Giddy up. Loving it. Okay. Trust the process. Was that number 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was number 5. Yeah. Number 6.
Number 6. Here we go.
Is tidy the house.
Oh, Jordan Peterson stuff, is it?
Oh, I don't know if it's Jordan. It's more Mary Kondo.
Okay.
Okay. When I mean the house, I'm talking about your head, like your brain.
Yeah.
You know, like. Okay. So this is my jam. This is why I'm your canary.
Okay.
So Mary Kondo talks about this concept where I think the house is a metaphor for everyone's kind of habits, your actions, your whatever. You know, like, you live in a house, you look around, and there's just shit in your house that just doesn't need to be there. You know, like, and these are like your values, your just, you know, you like, I've got a fucking bike helmet, you know, just a motorbike helmet. I don't even ride a fucking motorbike, but it's just sitting there and it serves no purpose. And I think we've all got these habits, actions, and values in our daily life that don't serve us. You know, whether that's like, this is my analogy, by the way, and because it happened to me. And this is what I think is, you've got to reassess all your actions and values and see, are they serving you? I was walking down Victoria Street one day, and I walked into the butcher, and I was like, hey bro, can I cover, you know, a roast? And it was something like, you know, the cost of meat had just gone up, and it was something like $20 a kilo or something. And I was like, oh, it's a bit too expensive. So I was like, kept walking down the road, and then like, it was like a Dan Murphy's or some Sellers or something, and it was like Fat Yak was there, and they're selling 24 or 48 beers or something for a really cheap price. And I was like, whoa, that's really good. And I don't even drink beer. Like, I fucking hate beer. But I was like, oh, I should go get that because it's such a good deal. And then I was like, fuck, I haven't drunken beer for like ages. You know, I just don't, I see no value in it. But there was that habit and instinct in my body that was like, oh, that's such a good deal. And I think we all have that, whether it's with food, whether it's with, you know, like with coaching, because everyone's like, oh, I really want to get myself better. And then they fucking invest fuck all in coaching or in fitness, and they're like, oh, my fucking gym membership's too expensive. I'm like, well, how much did you spend buying a fucking round for all your mates, you know? So we've all got these little things that I think, you know, this is just coming from me being Asian and being like fucking cheap, but you got to like think about all the shit that you do, and you got to think, what is the stuff that, and have a tidy up of your habits. Like, what is the shit that I'm holding on to that, you know, you like in my 20s, I'd have been like, yeah, that Fat Yak is such a good value, but it's not serving me anymore. You know, that's action, right. that concept of cheap alcohol isn't something that's serving me more. And we've got to kind of like go through and just look at the shit and our values and see, well, what's serving me for what I want? So it goes back to number 1, which is start with your why. And yeah, there's other stuff, like there's other reasons, like drinking serves other things like social connection and acceptance, blah, blah, blah. But you can do other things, you know, you can go for a walk with someone, you can play board games, you can fucking whatever, but you got to do a tidy up of the shit. You got to know what you want first, and then you got to do a tidy up of your life to make sure that you're getting towards that.
Accommodate that. Yeah. That's good. How can you help someone with that? How can you shine a light? I think your very first rule or thing that you've learned there was from the very beginning was find someone's why, as you've mentioned there. So you dig below the layers. But then how do you help someone declutter their mind? How what would be your steps, or what would be your advice to be someone that's starting in your gym on a fitness journey? They're looking to lose weight. How do you help them declutter what's going on?
Well, you kind of look at most people inherently know what's holding them back. And I don't really help them declutter. There's a book, another one you should read, Motivational Interviewing. It's about fitness, but it's not about telling people the answers, but getting them to come to it themselves.
Yeah.
So everyone's got actions in their head. Like, this is where a coach comes in. Like, I don't do jack shit. I just talk to people, and I'd be like, okay, well, what do you think? Like, I've looked at your food. I think that it looks like you're probably eating a few more calories than you should. What do you think is, where do you think that these calories are coming from? What's the meal that you're having an issue with? And they'll go, I think it's probably lunch. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what about lunch? What about lunch is the problem? I'll probably go and buy it, I'll probably go and buy it at lunchtime at office, and I don't know what's in it. I'm like, okay, well, what could you do to solve that? And they're like, maybe give me 3 options. They list out their 3 options, and you go, which one do you like the most? And because if I'm like, look, you fucking up lunch, man. Korean fried chicken's fucked up. You should probably do something else. I'm like, you need to do salad. And they're like, but I don't know how to make salad, and and you just slowly guide, because everyone knows what they have to do, but they need to verbalize it. Because I was working with a kid who had, actually, I want to talk about that story, but no one likes to be told what to do. No one fucking likes to be told what to do. So people need to, when people verbalize what they can do and you just guide them, because that's all I do, just guide them. They got to walk up the hill themselves, then they'll more than likely do it. So that's how I do it. I'm just like, what's holding you back, motherfucker? I'll probably drink too much, which is, I fucking hate that, by the way. Did you, when the fuck did we become such alcoholics that people go, I've got to drink? Like, if you have a fucking drink a night, you're a fucking alcoholic. I'm going to straight up say that. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, when did we have such a fucking problem with drinking? 15, 20 years ago, I'm pretty sure like, I'll probably drink a bit too much. Anyway, that's another pet hate, but So then you just guide them into going, hey, what can we do to reduce your drinking? Do you think at the age of 30 that maybe not being able to not have a drink during one night is a bad thing? Anyway.
Yeah.
I hate drinking.
Yeah, well, I can tell. Listen, and the podcast I done with Lee, we spoke about my own journey at the moment, like cutting back. I ain't going to be a fucking teetotaler where I'm stopping drinking. I'm not doing an Alex Cheongy on it, but I definitely know that it's not been an advantage to me in my new business and all this sort of stuff. It slows you down. Even a single drink at night interferes with your sleep, so you don't sleep as well. And you spoke about this earlier on. If you don't sleep well, your next day is fucking up in a heap. Your brain just isn't functioning. My own personal thing about people drinking, having a drink or two during the week is I for most people it's not just one. It's not just one. If it was just one, I think that'd be okay. I can think, but it's recommended. A glass of wine a night or a day is absolutely fine. It can work for you, in a good way. But more often than not, it's not just one. I know myself.
But this is where it comes into it, like motivational thing. I'd be like, well, why are you drinking? It's like, because it tastes good. I'm like, does it? Does it? Because I don't know how to. And it comes down to I don't know how to de-stress.
Exactly. Yes. It's stress management.
And you go, well, what are some things that you used to do that allow you to manage stress? But the problem is, drinking's a fucking silver bullet. It's the psilocybin of fucking meditation. You fucking sink it, and you're like, boom. So people need to learn how to de-stress. They need they need to learn to read books again. They need to learn to go for walks. But this shit's hard, right? It takes effort.
Absolutely.
By the way, I think what you do is good. Like, people need to learn how to still drink and live with their life. Like, I have a different story in that I spent most of my 20s getting fucking smashed on the corporate credit card. So I'm done with that stuff. But I feel like it's a very different experience to what other people are having, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I had like drinking things with my family that I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, for myself as well, like I've never actually drank during the week. I don't do that. You know, like my dad at home, like all of my family, big drinkers, but my dad won't have a drink at home at all. He'll have drinks in the pub with his mates, and that's it. He doesn't drink at home by himself. Like I've done that a fair bit lately because it's obviously harder to see people, and you know I'm comfortable with that. But it's definitely not as fun as fucking meeting up with the boys and having a fucking session. You shit talking, and you know sometimes the more you drink, the better the crack is, the better the fucking stories get, and the deeper people fucking dig into stories. But
that comes down to, you know, our inability to be open and honest with each other.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that it's easy, you know, but you know, for us to sit down and be like, oh, let's talk about our feelings, you know, like drinking helps that, but
absolutely.
But really, what if we could just all do that before and have fun, you know?
That's right. I think that there needs to be that ability there to feel fucking comfortable. Number one, it's about the people that surround you as well. Do you feel comfortable with your close circle of mates to be able to talk about shit when you're feeling fucking down? And this is a big issue with fucking lads, like especially at the moment, but always before anyway. Like the fellas don't talk about stuff, you know, and sometimes it takes a fucking shit ton of alcohol for them to be able to, oh, listen, man, this is what I'm actually going through at the moment. But at that stage, it can be too fucking late. So the people that you're around,
hookers and jet skis,
hookers and jet skis, whoop, whoop. That'll sort you out, buddy. But it's it's having that. It's knowing that you can be open and vulnerable with people, and it's not a weakness. It's not something that you should be ashamed of, and it shouldn't require alcohol to pry that out of you.
Just don't do it on a Facebook Lives.
Fuck it, do it on a Facebook Live. That's all right. Man, I use my Facebook Lives as fucking therapy. I just blurt it all out. And yeah, some people can resonate with it, other people can't. Doesn't matter. For me, it is a good way for me to fucking just vent. And I sometimes have these little realizations myself. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's how I feel about that. You know, because I'm saying it, and I'm, you know, because I'm saying it directly at the camera, and it's just flowing, and then I've said it, and I'm like, oh fuck, there you go. That's a bit more of myself I've just discovered.
That's a conversation for another time.
Yeah,
I have fairly certain thoughts about that.
Really,
but we'll talk about it another time.
Okay, fair enough.
We won't go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Finally, the final one. I think we've maybe got into an hour now. Maybe the final one is the measure of your fitness should be the things you do outside of the gym. But I'm going to change that and measure your fitness in the shit that's important, because I think we go into the gym and we're like, yeah, 1RMs, and if 1RMs make you feel better, that's amazing. But if if you're getting fucked up in the gym for no reason, and it doesn't really contribute to, you know, like, why are we getting fit? You know, like, I'm getting fit because I want to catch a fucking bluefin tuna and kingfish.
Nice.
But, you know, but you got to know what you're doing, right? You got to, like, it goes back to number one, but you didn't have to measure the right shit. You know, if you're doing it to be healthy, then, you know, go get some bloods done, go figure out what's going to get you healthier. And, that's it. The measure of your fitness should be the shit you do outside of the gym, not inside it. But if inside of the gym is what's important to you, then measure away. Measure those kilos. Yeah,
exactly. So the question I suppose we should pose to anyone that's listening is, what is it that you're measuring right now? What are you doing for you right now that isn't just a back squat?
Yeah.
Or calories, counting calories.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I think measure's also that term, like that really kind of I say measure. I say, you know, it's counts in you know, how do you measure an experience? But yeah, so that's my final thing. And measuring is important if it's important to you, you know. But you got to measure the right shit.
Yeah.
What things can you measure?
Pretty much everything, can't you? Like, you know, it's in some way, shape, or form. If, let's say, for myself, for example, I'd love to get into kayaking. I'm fucking going to do it. I'm going to get a fucking kayak. But like,
just borrow my kayak, bro. Just
hopefully, okay. Yeah, I'll borrow it. So I probably will. Hopefully, the bubble will fuck off by Sunday, so I'll be able to come in and collect it. But you know, a simple measure of that will be like, okay, the first day you're out, like, how long can you stay out there without like going, oh, I'm wrecked. You know, that was only 2 hours I was staying out there. My hands blistered up and I'm fucking bollocks. You know, it took me an effort to get back in. And when I came back in, I couldn't actually get the kayak out of the water for about 20 minutes because I needed to recover. So then the next time you go out, you can stay out for longer and longer. You know, these are your little measures all the time. And how much are you actually enjoying it then? You know, does it give you joy? Does it help that brain defragging? You know, you out there, are you constantly still thinking about the stuff at home, those emails, the relationship, the kids? Well, then it's not working. It's not the right thing for you, or maybe you're not fully engrossing yourself in it. Many ways to measure it, I think. There's many ways to skin a fucking cat.
Mate, the only way to measure kayaking is the size of the snapper that you catch out of Port Phillip Bay.
There you go.
You know, can you get to Altona? Do you know where Altona Reef is? It's apparently 2Ks out. And can you get yourself a massive red? Like, that's sick. You know, you can feed the family.
Sick, yeah.
But, you know, there's definitely other, you know, like for me, the measure is, you know, did you go snowboarding for 3 days in a row and can you still walk? That for me is the measure. I know we want to measure stuff in pain. Yeah, in pain and, you know, in tiredness, but measure it in like fun. You know, did you go out for 3 hours and have a fucking good ass time? You know, were you able to run through the woods and not feel tired? You know, and if you can't find a speed that you can, you know.
Yeah.
That's the measure for me. It's not so much that's the measure. It's not a measure. Maybe it's not a measure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Don't hire me as a coach.
Yeah.
Hi, Damo. Hi, Damo.
Oh, Jesus. It's good, man. It's good. Those are an epic 7. An epic 7 lessons that you have learned in your time. Probably fucking being alive. Never mind just being a fitness instructor.
I'm way older than you, aren't I? Fuck.
What age are you?
36. What are you?
I'm exactly 36 as well, mate.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was I talking to? Who was like? I was like, man, you're young as.
I've never really said, you know, like, oh, I'm getting old or anything like this, but I get a shock when I'm like, have people joining my gym and they're born in the 2000s. Yeah. When I'm putting in their date of birth, I'm like, what the fuck? This cunt was only born yesterday. And then I'm like, oh, we've been 20 years in the 2000s. Like,
we should like do another podcast, which is the things I knew, like, man, if I was, yeah. The thing, I don't know, something like that. Like, you know,
if I knew then what I knew, or if I knew then what I knew now.
Yeah. Right. Crazy.
Man, I would have fucking opened her bra and felt her tit. Just fucking go for it. Can't do that shit now.
You canary.
Yeah.
You're starting to get gassed up, man. Get back out. Well, that's a wrap, man. That's
sick. That was a fucking epic episode. And boys and germs, we're going to keep popping them out. If we will, as I said, I'll post in the description our Jack to Juicy live thing that we do on Zoom every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want to give that a crack, check out Functional You Facebook page, Instagram page, and CrossFit Westgate's Instagram page and Facebook page if you want to see more of this shit that we do that is live, and it's a bit of fun. So it's good night from me and it's good night from him. Giddy up.
Good luck, Victoria, for Sunday. Yes.
Fuck yeah. Fingers
6Ks,
crossed.
6Ks, here we come. 6Ks. 6Ks.